I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to speak about this. I am speaking on my own behalf, and I am speaking as a former federal prosecutor. When I became a federal prosecutor, the mantra that was drilled into me was that we needed to act without fear or favor. That is the mantra of the Department of Justice. That is something that Danielle Sassoon picked up in her truly amazing letter to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, explaining why she could not go along with moving to dismiss the charges against Mayor Adams. That letter is one of the bravest, most courageous things that I have ever seen any lawyer do, and I tip my hat to her. Danielle Sassoon is somebody who I did not expect to become my hero. She and I have very different political views. She is a Federalist. She was a clerk to the late Justice Antonin Scalia. She is a dyed-in-the-wool conservative. She did not do what she did because of politics. She did this because of her adherence to the motto, the creed, and the mission of the Department of Justice. Now, we know that the decision not to pursue the charges against Mayor Adams has nothing to do with the underlying facts, because Emile Beauvais put that in the initial 8-page memo he sent demanding that the charges be dropped. And it is highly problematic that the demand was that the charges be dismissed with the possibility of them being reinstated in November after the results of the election were known for mayor.
Bondi and Beauvais went completely Squid Games. Former U.S. Attorney Barb McQuaid reported that, quote, DOJ leadership has put all public integrity section lawyers into a room with 1 hour to decide who will dismiss Adams' indictment, or else all will be fired, setting them strength to stand by their oath, which is to support the Constitution, not the president's political agenda. This was the Attorney General of the United States threatening to fire an entire section of the Department of Justice, in particular the one charged with investigating public corruption, if they didn't sign a document that was going to risk their law licenses. But eventually Bondi and Beauvais found two people who will probably forever be labeled as a fool and a coward. Antoinette Bacon, a member of the Federalist Society, who they apparently pulled from Florida for this, and Ed Sullivan, a senior lawyer at Penn, who reportedly volunteered to save the jobs of the other lawyers at Penn who would otherwise have been fired. And as far as we know, at this time, at least 6 U.S. attorneys have resigned, and a large section of the public integrity section has also resigned. That is at least 3 times as many who quit during the Saturday Night Massacre during the Nixon administration. And that purge actually triggered Nixon's impeachment. But in 2025...
I'm quite confident that if Judge Ho asks the hard questions, the DOJ and Emile Beauvais will have no good answers. And the reason we know they have no good answers is the 2 letters that Emile Beauvais wrote are internally inconsistent, they are contradictory, and they make it clear that Danielle Sassoon is right on the law and they are wrong. That is something that is very clearly within his jurisdiction, and frankly not particularly controversial. It would, however, put Judge Ho in the center of the MAGA media storm. I want to sort of wrap up by thinking for a moment of what does it do for Danielle Sassoon to stand up and say no, and if he does, for Judge Ho to ask the hard questions. It doesn't prevent the particular harm. It is likely that these charges will be dismissed one way or the other. It is an act of faith in the system. It is an act of faith that by shining a spotlight, acting as a speed bump, they will draw attention from U.S. citizens who will say this is wrong and that it will not continue. Even if the charges against Judge Adams end up being dismissed, that there will be a price to pay because this sort of misconduct is not consistent with the ethics or the mission of the Department of Justice. So I think back to the first Star Wars movie, when Obi-Wan Kenobi realized that he no longer had the strength to beat Darth Vader in a duel, and he knew he was about to be killed. And he turns off his lightsaber and he meets his fate, saying to Darth Vader, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. It is quite a sad day for justice in America. It's a sad day for the Department of Justice. And I am only thankful that I've been given this opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you.